Thank you,
right.
Ken. Thank you, everybody. I imagine you all presented yourselves. You did all that. You've been together in a different group, or how are we doing in terms of who we are? Do you know, do we know each other? I think that's important. Do you?
Oh, I think this group of people has been very dedicated and showing up every single day
Wow.
in
Okay.
person. Yeah. But
Well,
we can take a round to introduce ourselves if you like. How about
very
we do that?
quickly, just to kind of grasp whom I'm connecting with.
Yeah, who want to start?
See, hello, I'm Dexter. I'm calling from Suffolk, Virginia.
Thank you, Dexter.
I am Pastor Rafat Abul Farag. I'm originally Egyptian and I'm missionary here.
Great. Welcome.
My name is Jeremy, and I am currently in Pasadena, California, but I'm originally from the Northeast. I'm from the New York, New Jersey area. So I've just been here for like 2 or 3 weeks and looking forward to getting to know everybody. Thank you.
Excellent. Excellent.
There's
I'm
Christy.
Christy, and I also moved to Pasadena recently, so we're in town.
Okay, well, we can talk in a different time, in a different context. I mean, how is it feeling to be in Pasadena with a lot of activity? But that's a different topic, I guess. Think that we have a Daniel. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm Daniel Emerson. I'm in Central Asia. Yeah, it's quite late here and
Wow.
connecting from far away.
Wow. Wow. Thank you for that. Thank you very much. I appreciate that extra effort. And so you have all the right to be quiet and almost sleepy. No worries. Well, thank you. We don't have like a lot of time, but the time that we have, we can try to use it in the best possible way. And usually I like to give a little bit of my background. I've been in Fuller since, I don't know, since the 90s. And I've been in Fuller since the 90s in multiple capacities. First of all, as a student, I came to Fuller because I was interested in studying under a professor. His name was Ray Anderson. And he was quite appealing for me because he was doing pastoral ministry and yet doing academic as well. So he's never stopped pastoring while he did academic work, and he was very prominent in what he did. So I wanted to, to learn from somebody who's always what I call a commuter, commuting from the church to the academy, crossing the city. It's a great journey. So that was very appealing for me. And then I pursued my PhD in systematic theology and in the area of practical theology as well as a minor. While I was doing that, I was planting 4 churches and also participated in the leadership of a district, sort of we call it region. I'm an ordained American pastor, and I work with more than 200 churches in the area of Southern California. I was in charge of leadership development, broadly speaking, new church planting, and Latino ministry. Those were my 3 areas. So, well, when I came to Fuller, I did not come to Fuller and graduated from a PhD to be a professor. but to remain in ministry and to do ministry work. That was the whole point. And I didn't necessarily look for a job when I graduated. I had my job, which I liked a lot. So I did adjunctation and sort of leadership and ministry side by side for 10 years until I felt the call from the Lord to move to the academy. So that's quite an interesting journey. And I felt that the Lord was sending me as a missionary to the academy. And here I am. I've been here for now as a full-time professor since 2011. That's when the move took place, 2011 to 2012. That's where I started my career as a regular faculty at Fuller Seminary after being an adjunct faculty for 10 years. And then when I came here with an agenda, by the way, I came here with an agenda, and the agenda was that I felt called by the Lord to stop planting churches and stop replicating models, and to begin to explore how to plant new ideas, new ways of being, and new ways of practicing the Christian life in a world that is continuously in change and challenging the very identity and practice of Christianity. So I've been dedicated to that task for a long time now, and I could not remain as a happy and ordinary professor. Somehow I was drawn into the administration, and here I am now as a chief of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I feel that that's always part of who I am. I had those two areas, administration and ministry, or vocation. And so I'm married. My wife is also a great partner in ministry and in life. Have a son, 2 grandchildren, 9-year-old and Chloe, and 6-year-old Emmanuel. And my son is also involved in ministry. He's an associate pastor, and he's working with millennials, multi-ethnic church. But that's not his job. He's an MBA, and he's in corporate America. So he's an executive in one of the e-commerce companies, big companies, but he does pro bono, so to speak, pastor. And we have interesting conversations in the business world and the church culture and all that. So that's a little bit of a background. I usually show pictures, but I didn't bring my pictures this time. I like cycling. I like woodworking. I'm into bowling lately because of my son and my granddaughter. Well, I teach in the area, as I already told you, where I teach in the area of systematics, pretty much culture and public theology. And so we have here also Carla Stevenson. She works with me in the office of the Chief of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, and she is the research fellow in the position, and she's also helping in some administrative work, but the more relevant work, it's in the area of research and finding ways how to resource Fuller Theological Seminary communities, pretty much. And you're part of that community. I mean, you are actually the reason that we do what we do, right? Formation, accompanying the students, and students that are the people of God, that are the community of God, the reason we do what we do. And so you are very important for us, not because you're here to learn, but because you're here to teach. You all come with different forms of knowledges, plural, and you bring needs, but you bring also capacities, and that's something we're learning how to capitalize on. And so in that tone, I'd like to provide you with a very brief presentation, if I may. And because I am researching in the area of, in the crossroads of classical disciplines, including classical theology, classical missiology, philosophy, history, at the same time cultural studies, and at the same time what is being called de and post-colonial studies. Because of that, some of the concepts that I bring into presentation seem to be a bit overwhelming, because I am trying to deal with the whole system at the same time that I'm dealing with particular issues. So I tell you where I want to get. I want to get to what is Fuller offering you as a student in terms of formation, a holistic formation. But to get there, I feel I need to say a couple of things of where we are in theological education, not just in the United States, clearly, but in the context of global Christianity or world Christianity. So allow me a moment to present to you a graphic or a picture that I've been using for some time to sort of illustrate this, and it does not exhaust the perspectives, but it does point to certain tensions, and that's what I want you to see, the tensions that we're living in our time, because we are in between times, in times of transitions, in times of crisis, in times of reimagination, in times of anxiety, and in times of creativity, all that, and within that time, which is, by the way, not extremely different than the first century under Roman colonial rule and Roman occupation of Jerusalem and Galilee and all that. I mean, it's not extremely different. There are correspondences right there. But let me show you that, and then let me get to where I want to get. So let me share my screen for a moment. And are you able to see my screen? So I want to elaborate a little bit on and get to the intercultural competence as one of the offers of Fuller for you. And it is an offer, not an obligation or anything like that, meaning that you can do with this what you please, what you want to do, but it will be offered to you in different forms. And this graphic right here is the painting of an artist. Actually, it's a group of artists that they're trying to portray the Trinity and what is called the perichoresis, which is the mysterious inner embrace of the Son, the Father, and the Spirit internally. And so this is the way, there's always movement, multiple colors. So it shows diversity in unity and harmony. And that is a tension right there. So that's a simple way they're doing it. I like that a lot. So let me move now to what I think it's important. I hope you can see it. Probably if you're on a phone, you won't be able to see it. So listen, it's fine. But if you're able to see it in the screen, in the middle, there is a sort of a modern or contemporary representation of the Tower of Babel. This is done by a Japanese artist. And this tower, it's in the middle of the city. And actually, there are many cities here. This is the urban the urban space. And around this tower, there are all kind of manifestations, you know, it's a little messy. It's public unrest. It's on a very unsettling, view. And on the left, I have a set of a column with a set of perspectives or experiences of things that are happening, forces, factors that are shaping part of this chaos that you see here. And on the right, also, you have another column. And the left, I'm calling this monocultural and monoculturalism. And this monoculturalism is a force, a way of living, a way of being, a way of practicing life, pretty much under the I would say the domains of powerful institutions and powerful individuals and even powerful countries or cultures, if you will. And then you'll find different names that give shape to this force called monocultural: colonial, modern, Christendom, the West, secular, temple power, which you can call temple centrism, generational, which means that particular people from a particular age and status are in leadership and nobody else can get into that. National, patriarchal, market capitalism, global monopolies, humanism, and geophysical. That represents sort of what we can call the colonial order globally, experience. And clearly there are ways and places that they do not operate under these, categories, but they're very few and not very significant. And that's what the monocultural force. On the right, at least my right, you can see another proposal or another set of categories that give name to a resisting set of attitudes and ways of life that are in a way counteracting or punctually trying to propose and live and resist what you just heard. And we're going to call that intercultural. The left, it's a sort of a white and black proposal. The right, it's a much more colorful and vivid proposal. And I'm going to read it. While you see in the left colonial, you will see on the right post-colonial. You see modern on the left. Here you will see the postmodern and even a transmodern, which is the coexistence of multiple times in the same place. You see Christendom, you'll see post-Christendom. You see West, you see the Westernization, secular, post-secular, temple power. Now we're talking about street power and media power, which speaks of a movement from within a sanctuary into the street, into the public space, and into the media, into the digital world. Generational and intergenerational, national and transnational, patriarchal, depatriarchal, market capitalism, network capitalism. For example, OfferUp is an example of network capitalism. You can do business outside of monopoly and things like that. Global monopolies, bioregionalism, and bioregionalism means, that certain cities and certain areas begin to form coalitions that are beyond monopolies, and they're doing commerce and everything else in that area. So it's a form of alternative trade, so to speak. Humanism, transhumanism, including the cyborg and AI, artificial intelligence. And geophysical, everything happens synchronically in one place, to the hybrid. Everything happens in multiple ways, digital, but also in person. And this speaks even into the way we're doing education here at Fuller Seminary. So clearly this doesn't exhaust the whole thing, but what the proposal here is that we're not, many of us are not strictly on the monoculture, and we're not yet in the intercultural. We're sort of in between. And we're sort of struggling. How do we move? How do we do life? How do we do church? How do we do family? How do we think, theologize? How do we practice, psychotherapy and different, ways of dealing with trauma, because trauma is something that is clearly represented in the middle, and this Tower of Babel, Genesis 11. So to speak more even clearly on the issue, the crisis seems to be generated by resisting this experience of life that I'm calling multiculturalism. And the way I have defined multiculturalism is like this. Multiculturalism is a racial, white, ethnic, Euro-America, gender, male, sexual, heteronormativity, geopolitical north, economic market capitalism, religious Western Christianity mode of framing human value and designing global power and privilege. I'm tired already. I mean, there's a lot there. Many categories. This is not a class on on cultural theory or politics or even epistemology and philosophy, or even cognitive theory in psychology. No, this is not it. So we'll just say that this is something to ponder. And let's suppose this is true. Let's suppose that we have to deal with all this. And I have exercises when I do this. We're in a room. I begin to say, okay, everybody who's not white, disappear and put the screen. It's interesting what happened when I'm finished with all these categories. Imagine. But the point is, if this is indeed something that we have to deal with, in the backdrop of this multiculturalism, what is Fuller offer? What is our formation offer? What are we hoping to achieve? Hoping to for you to grasp after you've gone through different pedagogical processes, and you've gone through the space of formation at Fuller Seminary. And our offer is multimodal, has multiple aspects. This is what we call the Fuller formation cycle, and this is sort of not, we need to elaborate a lot on this, but I just want you to see what we're hoping for you to experience. And in a way, you will have to tell us by the end, probably even by the middle of your formation journey here at Fuller, and by the end of your journey, how successful we are in trying to make this happen. You're going to be the ones going to tell us, okay, this is happening or this is not, and to what degree this is happening. Beginning with the spiritual, we want students and faculty and staff and everybody that go through the Fuller experience to be formed spiritually, to be formed academically, to be formed interculturally, vocationally, and emotionally. These 5 domains, we believe, can provide a situated knowledge that is practical, biblical, theological, missiological, psychological, and that in a way interact with real communities of the present, not just communities of the past, with issues that are actually affecting the bodies, lives, and spaces where people lived, and that addressed the whole person, not just the cognitive abilities or the competencies that has to do with production. So this is, while spiritual clearly brings the best of our Christian traditions, both Western and non-Western, and the academic is clearly speaks of the way we process information and knowledge and form the character of thinking persons and thinking communities. And intercultural, in a way, situate us and clearly helped us, understand how aware we ought to be and what kind of cultural translation we need to develop when we speak with the other, whoever that other is. And the vocational way is a clear calling into what way our serving. I mean, what's our serving looking like? I mean, what's the call? How we're supposed to do it? How can we become innovative leaders in a time like ours? And the emotional, in a way, is how we perceive the level of sanity and energy flowing within our own beings, and that in a one way or another will affect the well-being of other people. It's not just one of these elements that we want to address, it is all of them. So while all of these are important, it is the journey in a way that we're aiming at. It's not one thing that we can achieve, but it's the whole formation cycle that we want you to go and to experience and to, in a way, develop within yourself as a form of competence, as something you can say, well, it's not knowledge that I learned. It is, a whole experience. Fuller has been a whole experience for me that I can bring and, in a way, offer to other people wherever I serve, wherever I do ministry, wherever I do practice, wherever I do life. So that changes the question in the classroom. From what should I know after taking this class? What should I know after taking this, after going through this program at Fuller Seminary? Willie Jennings, in his book After Winans, believed that this is a question lost in the commodities of knowledge. So if this is not the question, then what is the question? We should be concerned about it. And I'm working a little bit on Jennings' proposal. I'm thinking of these three. So as you go through Fuller formation, I think it's important to ask, what should be the shape of the journey to know after taking this particular class, after going through this particular program, after being 2-3 years at Fuller Seminary? What should be the character of the search? What am I searching now for? What is it that I am now trying to achieve? And finally, how we build shared inwardness in ways that open the joy of not knowing inside the joy of learning together. Meaning, we all come into this classroom, into this Fuller experience with what is called incomplete knowledge and other forms of knowledges that we are very competent about. So this not knowing is this incomplete knowledge that we bring. And one of the tasks is to know, what is it that we don't know? That's one of very important questions. And that is not our weakness. That is a form of knowledge that ought to be valued and ought to be shared and ultimately transformed into the joy of learning together. And I think that's important. I want to leave it like that. Particularly, I want to say in terms of intercultural competence, that intercultural competence, it's an important piece of all this because it's sort of something I don't see being developed in many places, and Fuller is taking this very seriously. And by intercultural competence or interculturality, we're talking about it's a conviviality project. It's a project of learning how to live together within Fuller, but clearly outside of Fuller. A tool of the center in monoculturalism from the ground is a practice of making life ministry a better experience, not just for those of us who have expertise and capacity, but for the people also that we served, that we do life together, that we learn to value what they bring into the table. What can we learn from them, and how we make this environment of learning together an environment that worshipped and pleases God and makes a better life. So I'll leave it like that. And I'd love to receive any feedback, any questions, something that you may like to ask or react to at this point. I think that's going to be important. So I am becoming quiet now.
Well, thank you, Dr. Garcia Johnson, and thanks, Carla. And anyone has any questions?
Actually, I think that the pictures that have this column and the right hand and the left hand, I think it is kind of lecture itself. So it needs, I think, more explaining. I know that, of course, we are in the beginning of the beginning, but just to clarify. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you, indeed.
I have a question. I just want to know, I came late. I was logged on late. So is this archived or gonna be archived so I could review it again?
Yes, it's archived. It's being recorded. It will be posted right after this session. And the rest of the recording so far has been uploaded on the internet, on YouTube channel, and also on the quad.
Okay.
So yeah. So I'll be sending out the email to send you all the link as well. But also feel free to go on the quad. Just search for Welcome Week, and the first post should be the recordings.
Okay. Thank you.
And
You're
at
welcome.
any time, I want to say that with that, Jamal, at any time, you're welcome to reach out to me, to just contact me for any, even for more explanation on the first image and things like that. I'll entertain conversations, and you have Carla, it's kindly put in the email over there, inclusion@fuller.edu. And at any time, this is this is an open conversation. You're at the beginning right now, so in a way, I guess I'm inviting you to be open, but also to demand from Fuller that kind of formation. I'm putting us into trouble here, and I think that's important. If we're it's a journey together. We're in this together. And so the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion for me is not a political thing. It's really a formation thing. It's really a matter of how we become better, disciples of Jesus, better workers with the Spirit, better, cultural citizens, so to speak. In all possible ways. So we happen to comply with some things, but that should be the consequence of everything else. So I just want you to feel that way.
Okay. Thank you.
And I saw Carla has shared the office's email, inclusion@fuller.edu, and also I just paste Dr. Oscar's email there as well, if anyone wants to reach out to them. And Carla, would you post your email there too, if you like? Any further questions? And just a reminder, this afternoon we'll be having 3 sessions about our cultural centers, which Pinnell Center is a Black Church Study Center, and the Asian American Study Center, and also the Chinese Study Center. It'd be 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and 3 o'clock, respectively. And if anyone has any trouble with accessing your schedule, to have access to Zoom, please let me know. You can stay after this meeting. I'll be here for a few minutes just to do some tutorial to make sure you get to the sessions on
Like
time.
me.
Thank you, Rafa. Thank you for participating. We like it.
Did want to say something. I really, when I was applying to Fuller, I had this sense of, wow, my life has just kind of been meandering. And I feel like I'm probably going to be behind the game or not quite tracking. And I really appreciated just this kind of ethos of interculturalism within all of the interactions at Fuller, and being able to see such a wide range of diversity from where people are on in their journey, from where they're coming from where we're meeting up here, where we are now. It's just been very encouraging. And I don't feel like a fish out of water. I feel like I'm a fish that's just gotten into the water, and I'm really excited that we can all learn so much from each other. And I'm humbled and feel really privileged to take part in this. And I liked the picture you showed, because I was like, yeah, that's what Fuller feels like thus far. So it makes sense with the journey you've brought us on, Ken, in meeting all these different people in Fuller, and just, yeah, the ethos is very inclusive and encourages diversity and diverse perspectives. And I'm really excited about that.
Amen to your comments, Christy. Thanks a lot. Clearly not. You mean it's very humbling and inspiring what the metaphor you just put. I'm just getting into the water. I mean, that's a lovely picture. And I invite you all, invite myself to get into the water, because in a way, a new experience is like just re-entering the water again. Anyway, if you know the oceans or rivers, and swimming pools are more human-made, but the other more natural sources are very living environments. So it's new. There's newness and freshness every time we get into those environments, and we interact with organisms that we don't even know are there and exist. And so there is this, what I call probiotic, interaction. When we go to hospitals, on the other hand, we enter into an antibiotic environment, because we really need to heal and fight some of the, but we're killing good things too. So good for us that can get into the probiotic environments that will even prevent us to go to hospitals. It will be healing in itself. And in a way, I think that's what's happening in Genesis, in this tree of life that we're, Adam and Eve are eating out of this tree of life. Is a probiotic, then we go to the cross, and that's more of an antibiotic solution, because we have to sort of heal it. But anyway, just don't want to load you with a lot of theology right now. But I want to tell you that we're glad that we're in this together.
Anyone else have any thoughts, questions?
Uh, Actually, for this lecture, I don't know, Dr. Oscar, it will be like weekly or every while or twice a month. I don't know what is the schedule for this class.
You mean this type of interactions like today?
No, I mean your teaching. You will teach us
Oh,
like
yeah,
weekly.
yeah. I actually we I mean we have particular classes where we treat some of these subjects. For example, I just finished a class right now with PhD students, and we sort of didn't go exactly through this, but I treat a lot of what I'm saying in different classes. Part of the whole issue is that I don't teach a lot, given my administrative role. So I teach about 2 to 3 classes per year. And some of those classes, by the way, are in Spanish because I'm a Latina theologian, and part of my commitment. So I teach in English and I teach in Spanish. So it divides moment by moment. But what I offer from time to time are panels, lectures. For example, last night we had a panel with Dr. Mitri Rahev on the Palestinian Christians and Middle Eastern and Palestinian. So I try to offer that as a form of engagement, because my participation in a formal class as a teacher is restricted by my other tasks. So as I said, you are welcome to get in contact with me to say, for example, if you're interested in something, we can meet one-on-one. I can give you literature, or I can give you opportunities for you to engage in conversations that may be pertinent to your search, because we remember what we're saying. So I believe in that kind of conversation and accompaniment, sort of a mentoring, theological mentoring or academic mentoring. And that can happen within the classroom, which is more restricted, but outside of the classroom, it can happen even better. So
thank you.
Sure.
And Cara just said that if you're interested in setting up a meeting with Dr. Garcia Johnson or receiving the recording from yesterday, please send an email to inclusion@fuller.edu. And with that, for the sake of time, Dr. Garcia Johnson, could I invite you just do a concluding prayer for today's session?
Absolutely, I'd love to. The Spirit of God, thank you for bringing us to this point, even to this moment. We're not even next to each other physically, but yet we know, we sense your presence, and also the presence of other sisters and brothers. And we feel already you taking us by the hand into processes that we have yet to experience. And we are excited, we're enthusiastic about it, with a level of perhaps uneasiness, fear, because the question of, am I going to be enough to make it right here, is there. It's part of us. But I want to ask you, Lord, to assure us, just like you did with Moses, just what you did with Jeremiah, just what you did with Mary of Nazareth, that you are enough, and that's what's important. We are always becoming. in your hand, under your guidance, and more equipped persons and communities to be able to experience the greatness and whiteness of your love and grace and the powerful potential that you give us when we act in your name for the sake of love, justice, and shalom. Thank you, and I bless every student here in this screen and those who have not been able to share this space. I bless them with wisdom, with the energy, intellectual energy, and with all these formation opportunities that we want to provide them. Help us, Lord, be with them in ways that make things different and make meaningful relationships last. We ask you that in the name of Jesus, our Lord. Amen.
Amen. Hallelujah. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Garcia Johnson, and thank you everyone here. We're looking forward to seeing you in this upcoming quarter.
It is at 1 o'clock.
Yes, and at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and 3 o'clock Pacific time, if you all can make it. That'd be
Thank
great.
you.
All right.
Well, thank you, Ken, colleagues, friends. We'll keep seeing each other. We're there for you. Remember that. Okay.
Thank you.
Amen.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
You will keep me with me, Ken?